Okay, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Is the Tesla Cybertruck ugly?
Well, yeah.
You don't like it,
No, I love it,
but it's ugly.
but it's ugly.
Would you buy one?
Yeah.
Given infinite money?
Well, yeah. Of course. Tri-motor
So
all
why
the
do you
way.
so why do you like it?
Because it's ugly. You know me. I'm the type that has the attitude of liking stuff simply because it quote unquote breaks the mold or tries to be different in some sort of way, even if it isn't objectively maybe the best thing to do. But I it's not a traditionally appealing car, but I'm definitely a fan of cyberpunk aesthetics as well, so that definitely ties into that. But I wouldn't give anyone a funny look if I was driving a Cybertruck and I walked out and like some dude came up to me and be like, "Damn, that's an ugly car." It'd be rude of him to just say that to a stranger, but I would understand why he would think that it is an ugly car.
Do you think the majority of people who've placed a pre-order have the same sentiment? Do you think that everyone agrees that it's an ugly car, but they want it because it's unique and it's different? Or do you think there are people out there who unironically think it looks good?
Well, what are the reservation numbers rumored to be at? Over 650,000 at this point?
Yes.
I'm sure with that amount of people, there are definitely people that unironically look at that car and think it is the best thing in the world and the coolest looking thing and the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. Ferrari who, Jaguar who, Aston Martin who. I only know Tesla Cybertruck and its lack of any curves whatsoever. Uh, so, so
But do you think that 650 figure would have been increased if it looked more traditional? Do you think Tesla messed up by making a car that only appealed to those who want something to stand out? Because the Tesla community is split on it. It's not just a worldwide split decision. Even the Tesla fans, the people who have backed Tesla since the start, there's plenty of them out there who have not ordered the Cybertruck simply due to the fact that they don't think it looks good.
um, I want to say uh, it would be important to see what the alternatives would have been, any concepts of it, because I'm sure you remember leading up to the reveal of the Cybertruck. Obviously, a lot of people put up their own concepts of what it would look like, and Tesla's the 3, the Y, the S, the X, they all look, in the grand scheme of things, similar to one another. Um, so a lot of the concepts just looked like, a truck with the face of an S or an X or something like that, and it wasn't really a truck looking. It was too soft, I want to say. So if the alternative to the Cybertruck as we know it now was carrying on that same design language into a truck body, I think they would not have been as popular as the current design.
You don't think they would have overtook the current leader of the F-150 if they made a traditional truck? You think the Cybertruck outsold what a traditional Tesla truck would have looked like, simply based off its uniqueness?
I want to say yeah, because I feel like at this point currently, most quote unquote truck guys are still not sold on electric.
Now, I
So,
need you to understand there are people who argue the complete opposite. There are people who think Tesla messed up. They would have sold 10 times more if they built a traditional truck. I don't know if you remember, Elon did a podcast maybe a year or so ago. I'm not sure with who, where he started giving hints at the Cybertruck from early on days. And he said that most people aren't going to like it.
yeah, he did say
And
that.
if they don't, they'll just make a traditional truck eventually. People are still waiting for that, too. I don't think it's coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from my point of view, um, currently at this moment, I still feel personally like the majority, or at least a considerable amount of people who like trucks, are going to stick with gasoline trucks. So making a truck that looks like traditional trucks isn't going to be the thing that would win them over. However, On the other hand, this radical design, I feel, might have changed some people's opinions on who previously didn't like trucks and see this and now are kind of interested in it. Because personally, I'm not a big truck guy. I look at the F-150, I look at the Ram, I look at the Chevy Silverado. I'm like, yeah, it's a utility type of thing. I don't get hot in my pants looking at them. So, I don't, besides maybe like the Raptor, which is just, balls to the wall, I'm not really excited looking at trucks. However, I saw the Cybertruck and I'm like, they're looking kind of good. And I feel like maybe not a lot of other people had the same exact reaction I did, but I feel like there is, a number that didn't previously like trucks, saw the design of the Cybertruck, and are like, I kind of like that.
So you say people aren't ready for traditional electric trucks. What about the companies that are making them, like Rivian or Nikola, Atlas, all those other EV trucks that do look more traditional? Do you think that they messed up by making something competing directly towards something like an F-150, or should they have gone more unique?
Well, I think Rivian more so messed up due to their price. Because as far as we know, the mid-tier is what? Somewhere in the mid-60s?
I think 69.
69?
I could be wrong.
And I can't imagine that the lower tier is going to be much, much cheaper. Let's say even, I don't know, high 50K, if that. You're definitely, the most base F-150s are what, in the 30s, 40s?
Yeah, but I don't think Rivian's trying to compete with the base F-150.
Exactly.
They built more of a luxury end truck, something that compares more to like one of the higher end
right
F-150s.
So I don't think that
do cost similarly.
Yeah, so I don't think that their mission was to sell as many F-150s as there are in the world, in the country. So I don't know if they particularly messed up. If their mission was indeed to be the best-selling truck in the world, obviously they would have needed to make a truck cheaper. And I don't think the design would have been the biggest hurdle for them in that point. In terms of Atlas, I don't really know too much about what's going on over there. So, I mean, the other ones like Workhorse and Atlas, they do seem to be kind of pushing towards a more utilitarian type of advertising and going specifically for truck guys. And they do look like actual, more or less traditional trucks, but they haven't even started really making them, so I don't know what their sales are like, and so for me personally, it's too early to tell.
Do you think electric utility trucks are the next thing? You think someone like Workhorse, who's selling to fleets and trying to get let's say FPL on board with buying them in bulk, do you think we will see electric trucks used commercially, or is that just a false dream?
I probably see it. I probably see more early on more success in the maybe commercial field as opposed to actual individual truck owners getting into electric trucks. The charging is going to be much easier to manage because they all are going to have to come back in a centralized area, and they can all charge them overnight and be able to build up their own small little infrastructure in their factories or wherever the hub is. So I feel like for commercial, it's probably even easier for them than to appeal to the public at this point because, I don't know, I'm sure there's some sort of state government incentives given to these companies to get electric cars, essentially. So that definitely would help them out in that manner. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. It seems like a lot of these corporations are still stuck in the olden days. They don't know it's best to switch over yet. I don't think a lot of people will switch over fleet cars until it's basically required to. But on the subject, the Cybertruck wants to have it all. They want to look cool. They want to be a real truck, and they also want it to be utilized as a commercial vehicle as well with their 240-volt system, backup generator, air compressor, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Can Tesla have it all? Do you think that will be up there with one of the fleet vehicles that will be bought in the future? you think Workhorse has it in the bag?
Well, no, I feel like there's so many commercial customers, potential customers, that one company isn't going to be able to service all of them, even if Workhorse was the be all end all. So there's definitely a lot of room for companies to provide electric commercial vehicles. I mean, this is really going to go down to, I guess, more so because the price is attractive. First of all, $39,000 for the base one. So of all the electric pickups we know, that is definitely one of the most affordable ones. So that definitely is a huge plus to them. At this point, we have to think about how well Tesla will be able to manufacture the Cybertruck, how long it will take them to actually get into production, and what numbers they can build them in their new factory. Because
do you think they'll hit their current timeline?
So it's supposed to be end of 2021 for the for the Tri and Dual.
Yes.
I want to say, I mean, it seems like the factories should be picked out by the end of summer. So that gives them about a year and some change to get a factory that can at least build something.
Which they did in China.
Right, yeah. So I feel like it might be another Gigafactory 3 scenario where, there'll be a quote-unquote phase 1 that will be finished by the end of 2021 that will have like a line or two maybe.
Well, this is going to be a little harder because it's all new equipment, all new material.
That is true. So I think it's going to be close, but I don't know. Elon really was driving home like that Chinese efficiency and how efficient the actual building process was of the Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai. I don't know if we'll get the same amount of efficiency in the US when he does it. If they do, I give it a 60% chance that they will be able to hit their timeline. But even then, they're going to start building it like, middle of December or something, like right at the very tail end of 2021.
Do you think the Cybertruck will exclusively be built in the US? Or do you think it'll do well in other markets? Maybe they're already planning on building a line in Giga Berlin, potentially?
Well,
or do you think this is US exclusive?
I mean, don't quote me on this. I'm just theorizing here, but I feel like America is much more into trucks than the rest of the world. And the Cybertruck is pretty fat. I don't know if it's going to even handle a lot of the European roads. Like on highways, obviously, you'll be able to go. But, we've all seen the tiny inner city type of streets in European cities, especially the older ones. And I don't think any truck will be able to manage there. If Tesla wants to get into the commercial game in like European countries and Asian countries like Japan and South Korea, then I think their best bet would be something like a small van, like that Ford Connect Transit or whatever. I feel like that would be their best bet. But no, I think the Cybertruck will, for the most part, be in America. I know Elon did tweet about a smaller truck. Maybe, possibly. You know how Elon is on Twitter. God knows when that will be, 2025 or something. A smaller truck, maybe, but that's looking too far into the future, and I have no idea if that's even going to come to prosper.
Now, in the U.S., the number one sold car is the F-150.
Right.
Annually.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Ram, and number 3, I believe, is Chevy Silverado.
Yeah.
Do you think the Cybertruck will fit that historic, whatever you want to call
trend.
it, and be the historic trend and be the number one sold Tesla? Do you think the Cybertruck will outsell all other Teslas? Or is it a niche vehicle?
Well, if the 650,000 number is to be believed and miraculously 100% of those reservation holders actually go through with it, then Yeah, it would already be. And I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take Tesla to produce 650,000 Cybertrucks, but I mean, we only recently crossed a million units
Total cars.
total
Yeah.
cars, yeah, and that's split over technically four with the Model Y, but really three. So I don't know what the Model 3 has sold in total. Probably 500,000, 400,000. I actually don't know.
Well, I want to say they had around 600,000 total reservations, and the Cybertruck has already surpassed that.
Right.
But obviously today Tesla has a much bigger name than they used to.
Exactly. So, I mean, just based on these numbers, it's looking like it. Obviously, it's going to take Tesla some time to produce that many Cybertrucks. And at that point in time, the Model 3 and the Model Y are just going to keep on selling and growing their lead. But it's definitely going to be, if not number one, number two in total Tesla. The real question is if it can break that top three mark overall for pickup trucks, which isn't really
that'll be hard.
Yeah, which isn't really a fair comparison, because I know we've had this discussion before about how unfair it is when they do those numbers, because it's not the F-150, it's the F series, so that obviously,
which is including fleet vehicles and
yeah, so that includes F-150, 250, 350, 450, so on. And Ram does the
It's
same
as
thing.
if-
So
it's as if every BMW counted as a BMW series. They kind of cheat with those numbers.
well, I mean, the 3 Series is well, that's a different story. I mean, it's definitely a bit gray area in terms of sales figures, but it's more for like bragging rights. So I don't know how much it actually matters. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it has a good possibility to be, within the neighborhood of strictly F-150 sales, which I don't know off the top of my head, but I feel like they have a good chance.
Now, going back to the ugly design, do you think that this is the future of Tesla design? Will we see? There's a lot of renders coming out on like Cyber Roadsters, Cyber Model S's, Cyber Model 3s. Do you think we will see a cyberpunk line?
Nah, because I mean, of all vehicle segments to make a quote unquote cyberpunk design, I feel like trucks and maybe SUVs are the most welcoming to that type of design, because, cyberpunk is like a grungy, metallic, sharp type of design language. And, people don't really want that out of their family sedan. But trucks, we tend to associate with also, dirty, sharp, powerful, that type of stuff. So I feel like this might be just kind of like a one-off type of design choice, regardless of how popular the Cybertruck may or may not be in the future. I can't really see a Model S coming about with, the design of a Cybertruck.
And everyone's waiting for that Model S refresh. I think people are going to be a little surprised if it comes out as a cyberpunk Model S.
I don't know. I don't even know if they're going to continue making the Model S, honestly.
You think those rumors of the Model X being canceled are true? I mean, they were for the X, just to be clear. They were not rumors on the S being canceled.
Yeah, because I remember reading a quote from Elon that said like, yeah, we're kind of just keeping the X for like the nostalgia factor or whatever. So, I mean, when you look at the sales figures every quarter, the S and X sales are either just barely maintaining or going up and down a couple percent from every,
which was expected.
Yeah.
With the Model 3 and Y, you get a cheaper vehicle.
Yeah.
That does just the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how much of their efforts and resources those two cars are taking up, and I don't know if they're going to bother going through with a refresh. But on the other hand, we're definitely going to get a lot more competition. Lucid's coming out with the Air, hopefully. Mercedes is eventually going to come out with an EQS. BMW is supposed to have an i7 come out. Audi has the e-tron GT coming out. So we're definitely going to get some more competition in the luxury electric sedan market. So it would be kind of a shame for Tesla to dip out with the Model S when there's actually competition coming out. But it also won't be good if they keep the same design from basically 10 years ago when those cars come out at that point. So I don't know, but I definitely am like 97% sure that they're not going to hit the next Model S if it comes out with some sort of cyberpunk design.
Yeah, lots going to change in the next few years. Who do you think is going to lead the electric truck industry come 2025? There's a lot of electric trucks coming out.
There's a lot.
Who's gonna have the most sales? Is it going to be Tesla? Is Tesla going to still dominate the market in 2025?
I don't know. I mean, by 2025, I would imagine that the big boys. Well, Ford will definitely have. I mean, I would really hope.
Ford is the only legacy
Yeah.
automaker that's announced a full electric pickup truck.
Well, yeah, officially. GM's CEO said that an electric pickup is in the works, but that's like literally all she said. So I would also hope that there would be an electric Chevy pickup truck by 2025. Dodge, I don't know what they're doing. Fiat as a whole, FCA is just in. They're still back in like 2012 right now. I don't know what they're doing. They're trying to figure themselves out. They're going through a merger with PSA, so maybe they'll get some tech going that way. So at the very least, I would hope that there would be two electric trucks coming from legacy automakers. So,
and you think they'll outsell the Tesla? You think they just have to flip the switch, convert the F-150 to electric, and they'll do more EV sales in the segment than Tesla?
Well, they'll still listen. I think, obviously, the car still has to be good. If the electric F-150 comes out with 100 miles of range, I mean, no one's buying that, obviously. But I feel that if the electric F-150 comes out with comparable specs, and even, let's say, range is obviously going to be the biggest thing everyone looks at. Even if it comes with range that's 10, 20% less than whatever the Cybertruck will be at that time, I feel like it might still outsell and still be the top one. But we're also not accounting for the fact that, like we just talked about, it's the F Series. So if there's only just an electric F-150 and there's no 250s, 350s, 450s, then the Cybertruck might be going toe-to-toe with an electric F-150 and might actually outsell it.